CLI.
Yeah.
Directly CLI, we can connect
Mhm.
from local machine to GitHub, or from GitHub to local machine. If you want to connect either cloning from this to that or this to that, this is one way on CLI. Am I right?
Yeah, CLI is another way.
One way. The same thing, if you want to configure on the desktop, we can do it the same thing.
I have never used GitHub Desktop, but you should be
Okay.
able to do all these things actually.
Okay. If you have not used, then okay, forget. But I think suppose we are able to do that on the desktop, will it matter with our course content?
No, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't. Okay. And the second thing, in the GitHub, when we are doing the things, what is happening is that we are not able to branch and merging or this or control over that. How we are going to the main branch, how we will go to the second branch. Can you explain about that? We are confusing with that. There is video in that in our
Mhm.
content, but I'm not able to the main branch and the branching of that. And suppose we want to delete that branch, and that should not be public like that. How to manage that? Some branches are also required here, or there is no need at all.
Branches are required when you are collaborating with multiple people, or you are working on different set of features at one time.
Here in our course content, is it required to share branching, or if you don't do branching, it will work?
I mean, it will work. I mean, it depends on how you want to work. I mean, we in TDS you can either do collaboration, or you can do it alone, or else. Yeah.
Okay. So the third question I have, suppose I have some Git repository in our account, in our GitHub. I want to pull, then we pull in our CLI. Okay. Can we directly pull here in our CLI from that, just taking the URL, and it will work in the VS Code or in our WSL? Suppose we are doing in WSL prompt
Mm-hmm.
and connected to GitHub, and
Mm-hmm.
the same folder we are opening, one folder I am connecting to the GitHub, and the same folder I am opening in the VS Code. It will work the same way. You got my question? What I'm asking? I am pulling some repository and connecting our local machine in our this WSL, Ubuntu WSL. Because I have Ubuntu WSL, and I am putting the commands and connecting, cloning like that. It is working. Okay.
Okay.
Some folder. Now the same folder I have in our Ubuntu, and I open that folder in VS Code. Going to the Ubuntu and open that folder in the VS Code.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the VS Code, whether it will work the same what installation we have done there in connecting, or we have to connect again here. You got my question? There is a window machine, there is a Ubuntu also. Both is there in our Windows desktop. So I have some folder in our Windows folder, some folder in Ubuntu. In Ubuntu also I configured it. So
Mm-hmm.
suppose I want to open that folder in our VS Code, want to work. So whatever installation connectivity we have done with GitHub, Git configuration, it will exist in that VS Code also, or we have to come to VS Code and again we have to install that. This is my question.
Yeah. Okay. I have got what you are trying to
And
understand.
the same thing vice versa also. I started with a blank folder in VS Code, and I want to configure in VS Code, and then I want to open in Ubuntu. Whether it will work or not, just do it, and just give the confidence in that, because I was confusing when I do there that is not working. I'm confusing that I am installation is wrong or this is processing.
No, no.
Okay,
Wait. Yeah, yeah. I will just show you.
okay. Got my question, no?
Yeah, yeah. I have got what you are trying to ask. So when I open a new terminal, it shows which terminal you have opened over here, whether
WSL,
it is
WSL, WSL,
PowerShell or what. And now if you
WSL.
want,
We are following WSL.
yeah. Now if you want to switch to, what is happening? Why it's
Sometimes it happens. It is installing.
It takes some time.
But virtual environment, you are working virtual environment.
no, that's some DSAI lab. I mean, I was doing it for my.
That is not required, no? Virtual environment is not required, no?
It's best practice to use virtual environment.
It is better.
Yeah, it's better. It keeps your things isolated.
Isolated, yeah.
So, and I would prefer never install something globally.
On which folder we are working exactly? User.
Yeah, I'm working as usual. I'm not able to find the.
In similar situation. If you delete all and open new terminal, it might.
Yeah, delete all.
Oh yeah, now it's able to detect. I don't know why it's not able to
Yeah,
detect.
the same thing I have. The WSL in Ubuntu. This is WSL, no? Only.
Yeah, so now when I select this WSL option, it opens WSL terminal. So if you have configured your Git in WSL, then all those configurations will remain here as well. Because now you're using WSL terminal.
Okay. Now, here, this is global or this is virtual environment? Tell me.
Right now it's global one.
Global. Okay.
When I use a virtual environment, this is when this
VNV. Script activity. Source.
is a directory.
Your machine is Mac.
What's the way to? No, it's Windows machine.
Why you are using source? Okay, because WSL.
Okay, I'm not able to activate because it was created via Windows. So Windows way of creating virtual environments is a bit different than what you create on
Yeah.
WSL. So I will have to remove that virtual environment and then use requirements.txt to reconstruct it. Okay.
This type of things we confuse with that. How to manage our machine also, because a number of installations comes.
Yeah, so I will say install everything in your Ubuntu, do all the configurations for Git, Docker, anything in your WSL itself, and whenever you open your VS Code, probably by default it might be PowerShell. Then you click over here and then select WSL. Then it
Okay.
opens up a new terminal.
Now this prompt is WSL, and we have installed. Suppose there is a folder. What folder you are using here? This is feature, right? My question is, which folder you are working? Week 2.
Yeah,
We are working week 2, which is in the Ubuntu, right? It is mounted, no? Am I right? The folder.
No, it's inside. Inside.
It is not in the Windows folder, right?
No, it's in the Windows folder.
Go there. It is not in the C users. It is mounted one, no?
Can you?
I mean, you can access all your files from Windows and from WSL interchangeably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this virtual environment part, how can we connect to virtual environment? As if one thing is problematic is can you please explain me how can we use virtual environment? I have installed in virtual environment with that connected with, but by Visual Studio. We have connected it to by PowerShell, not with WSL.
No, sorry, just a minute, just a minute. Here, MNT, what is MNT is working here? Which drive is this MNT? This MNT is Ubuntu, na? You go to the folder, window
No,
folder.
no, that I
It is of
understand
the
what
computer
what you're
Windows
trying
drive.
to say, but what happens is over here.
The Windows drive has been mounted on the WSL, is it?
Yes, yes, I
Correct.
think so.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so
Now,
what happens is you can interchangeably access your Windows file. If you create something using Windows, if you create a file on your Windows machine, you can even access it via WSL. So you can
I
interchangeably
know
access.
that we can access it, but my question is that here
Mhm.
on this prompt, we are
Yeah.
installing, suppose Olama, and everything, anything we are installing in this folder. Whether it is installing in this W week 2 folder, and for
No,
this
it is by default installed in C drive only.
in the C drive, it will work one. Suppose one time we have installed.
Whenever it irrelevant of where you are the path, it will by default install in C drive only.
Wait. Just wait a second. So what happens is when you install WSL, it creates the file structure over here. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a separate one from what happens on Windows. Okay, so it
here
creates
Ubuntu is there. Yeah, there
separate
is home,
structure
the
which you can
home, and
access from
then
here. Now,
correct.
whatever you install in your WSL terminal, okay, it irrespective of where you are, what your current working directory is, okay,
Yeah,
this is your current working directory. When you do
yeah,
PWD, it
yeah.
shows your current
PWD
working directory. It will always install in
bin
WSL's.
bin in bin. Always go into the bin. Am I right?
Yeah, it will always install in Linux file system.
Bin folder. It is a bin folder. There is a bin folder in which it always goes. What I have gone through the chat GPT, always it will be installed in the bin folder. Whatever it is, but it will be go there. Okay.
Yes.
Now install. We have
Sir,
installed. Second question.
I have a question. So what are we doing today? Like I was a bit late.
We are
Nothing has just
Yeah,
started.
same
I
question,
was
sir. I also joined
one
late.
Okay,
thing,
let's
sir.
start the session and then at the end we can take all these doubts.
One more thing, sir, to add here. Suppose we are not using the VS Code, we are directly going to the WSL from command prompt, and we
Okay.
are installing. Then it will work in VS Code also, or it will work there only.
Yeah, so whatever.
Open command prompt directly.
No, I won't be doing it right now. But if you are installing, let's say this is PowerShell, and then in your terminal, if you are using Linux at that point, okay, when you are installing something, then it will be accessible via VS Code. So VS Code is nothing; it's just Notepad, just
Okay.
a glorified one. It
Okay.
lets you edit file. This
Okay, the same
terminal
thing.
is it's global in the sense if you are using Ubuntu's terminal via VS Code or via command prompt, it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Okay. Right.
And
Now,
also you can use one extension of WSL which connect the Visual Studio Code
Yeah.
with that official terminal.
Remote
That
code,
maybe,
na?
yeah.
Remote code. We can connect WSL to VS Code using that.
No, that official maybe you can say that extension present in a VS Code. You can download it. It can go connect with that.
how it
You
is?
can
Where it is?
just go to VS Code and in the extension down search WSL extension.
Okay. That will work the same way.
Yeah, it can it directly connect WSL with your VS Code. So when you reopen with the as a app, that also that open in with WSL.
I'm
And
not getting. I'm not getting what you are telling. Extension we will install. Then
uh,
there is no need to install WSL Ubuntu.
no, you have installed WSL. yeah, maybe you can say there's Windows is different operating system and WSL is different. Maybe you can say they are different environments. If
Yeah,
you install that extension, it connect WSL environment with your VS Code.
okay,
When
okay.
also you can say sometimes you download some files, maybe libraries in your WSL, and you can in VS Code they showing that this library is not allowed because the environment is not connected. If you
Hmm.
download that extension, it show all the things in your WSL,
Okay.
so it's connected with your thing. And
See,
also maybe there's also some
seamless.
other things also it provide.
That provides a seamless connectivity between WSL and WSL and Windows, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. I will try it.
All right, okay, let's get this session started now.
Okay.
Okay.
And the Git kind of thing, suppose we want to connect with Git, every folder should have separate SSH code or only one code will work for the one machine.
Uh, if
Suppose,
you have done SSH setup once, it will work for. If you have done it via WSL, then it will work for all your repositories that you pull or push.
whatever, whenever I want to open
Yeah.
any repository, then only
Mhm.
key is required just to copy the key from our GitHub and just paste it, right?
Uh, okay, let's talk about these things later. Let me get
Ah,
the session started now.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so else? Okay, let's first start with GitHub Codespaces. And there are different ways. You can either use it from UI itself, which is from browser, or from Visual Studio Code, or via CLI. So I will be doing it via UI itself. Okay. Let me.
All three ways are mandatory to learn, or is it one or two is sufficient, or one is sufficient?
Yeah, one is sufficient.
One is sufficient,
They
right?
offer same functionalities.
It is not that CLI has some limitation. I need to use GitHub UI, or this has some
CLI
limitation.
is the most powerful technique you can use, or just if you find difficult to use CLI tools, then you can use user interface वगैरह.
No, my question is rather different. Is it a combination of all these three things needs to do this, or one is sufficient? All three
Learn
has
one of them.
same functionality.
Yeah, just learn one of them.
Okay, learning one of them is sufficient. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's start the session with this GitHub Codespaces. So yeah, what is GitHub Codespaces? Is it's a cloud. Uh, okay, let me go to documentation. How do I go to documentation? Okay, this way. Okay, yeah, this is the way. Okay, so what are Codespaces is you have development environment. So what is development is the place where you develop your application. So you can do it locally or some cloud-based environment as well. So this GitHub Codespaces is hosted on cloud. So it's instead of doing it on your machine, it's somewhere sitting in GitHub's Codespaces. Okay, and then they lets you create machines with different configurations, which is from 2 core to probably 32 cores is what is mentioned over here, from 8 GB RAM to 128 GB RAMs. Okay, so and by default it uses Linux machine, and you can use Ubuntu Linux machine, Ubuntu image it will use, and you can even configure it with some other image. So now let's start with the basic uh, code space setup. Okay, which doesn't have much things in it. So this is a code spaces demo, and make it public, and yeah, nothing else is required.
It is saying the
Here,
three ways of connecting this, right? No?
yeah, there are three ways of using code spaces. One is you can use it in your VS Code as well, or you can use it in UI itself, or else from terminal as well. Okay.
Sir, can you just repeat what is Codespace? I missed it actually.
Yeah, so it's a development environment. So right now you can develop your application in your local machine, or else you can even use some cloud hosted uh, things to develop your application. So yeah, this is just a, I mean, in some time you will see what it is. Okay,
Okay.
just bear with me. So let me create one.
So it is like Replit or Replit that we used to in Python course, something like that.
I mean, yeah, just you will see. Okay, so now you can see this is similar to what VS Code offers, right? But this is something is running on uh,
The code space is a app.
So Codespace is something which is running on the web, not on the system, local system, right?
it is running somewhere on the cloud. It's not running on your machine. So
Okay.
it's running on.
Explain me, Jivraj, how you just done in your VS. I'm just trying to do Control Shift P, but it is not downloading Codespaces.
Control Shift V. You mean how I am able to paste something to terminal of VS Code? Sorry, I cannot hear you.
You created this code space demo repository, no?
Yeah, this is
New repository.
demo repository.
Okay.
Yeah, code spaces hyphen demo,
Yeah.
and it's under my name. Okay, so I have created one GitHub Codespaces, and now I can develop. Oh, sorry, I accidentally do Control W. That closes this tab.
And can you please help us understand how you come to this window from the
Yes.
GitHub? Yes,
Yeah.
you created a code space demo. From here,
Yeah.
how did you come?
Yeah, when I created a code space, it opened up like this.
No. When you create a code space, that a repository only created or different thing. Go
Yeah,
to
it
the
is associated with the repository.
new repository, na?
It's associated with a specific repository that you want to work with.
My question. First time we have to create one new repository with the name of codespace demo.
No, it can be any name. I have just kept it codespace.demo.
Okay, you created code spaces, right?
I mean, named doesn't matter. You can name it something else.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Got it.
It can be any name.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be the same name. I mean, otherwise there is no point, right? You want to create some development environment, and then you are restricted to use a specific
Same name you are giving. No? The confusion is that the name is a keyword name or the anonymous name.
Yeah, it's anonymous.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so when you open this environment, it doesn't have anything as of now. It's just empty, right? And it clones whatever is there on your main branch. So on my main branch, there is just one file, and that file is also over here. Now I can do something over here. Let me do something.
Sir, can you once go to the course page? I just want to see on which section are you in.
Yeah, I'm here, which is under
Can you please
deployment
perform
tools,
this again?
deployment techniques, then dev containers, GitHub code spaces, and over here.
Okay,
Hi,
sir.
Jivraj. Please, can you
Thank.
explain the second point in this, Dave?
Second point.
Yeah, this second option I'm trying to do, but it's not. I'm not able to choose the code spaces.
Yeah, so right now I have just created a code space. I mean, so you want to configure it. Yeah, so go
In
with
the VS, in the VS.
in the VS code. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's what's showing me to do it performing in VS, na?
If you want to do it in VS code, then you press Control Shift P. Then you do create new. I mean, I'm also not getting something like code space. I might have to install some extension for it, probably.
Yeah, why it is not showing in my VS?
Am I
Actually,
audible?
he has also not done from VS. He did it from the direct website, GitHub website. He went there. He created one repository to show us how to do it locally and with Codespace.
Firstly,
Yeah,
you
but
need to install this
it was
Git in the VS. You need to install Git. There is a workspace. You go in this VS Code towards the left side. You can go to the extensions and then install Git. And then you can use this Control Shift P
yeah,
option.
that was earlier done. Extension of Git
Ah,
is then in the VS.
yeah. So it's not necessary you should open through this command. You can directly open through other ways also. If the shortcuts are not working, it's not a problem. Maybe some system had different shortcuts, so don't worry, you can open like how Jivraj is opening or other ways which is showed there.
Okay, so now if you want to configure the code space, then these are the options over here. You can. How I went to this bit is I clicked over here, which is then it shows with options configure dev container and then set up pre-build. So we'll see these other options later. Let's first click on this one, and then what happens over here is it lets you select different branches. Then where you want to create your code space. So try to keep it in the nearest region. So for
Sir,
us, it's
does this configuration of resources cost anything? Cost any
no, it
money?
doesn't cost anything. I will, if yeah, I mean, it
Okay, sir.
Sir, why we need to select that location closer?
why we have to select?
That location near.
Yeah, so if your development environment is nearby, I mean, whatever you have hosted, okay, in on internet, it uses waves. So data is being transferred in waves. Now, if the location where you have hosted it is far, okay, if it's more distance, then it's a bit slower. If your internet speed is good enough, then you might not feel it, but it will be a bit slower.
So the ping time will be slow.
I mean, the time that uh, the response time and all those things will be a bit slow. Message. Okay, I can say 120 hours you get for free. 120 compute hours. If you have free GitHub account, then you get 120 hours. If you have GitHub Pro, which you get on your student developer pack. So if you have enabled your student developer pack, then you get 180 hours. And
Sir,
if
means 180 hours per week, month,
per month.
per month.
And when I say 180 hours, it depends on which configuration you have selected. If you have selected 2 core, then it counts 1 hour as 2 hours. Okay, and if you have selected 4 cores, then it counts 1 hour as 4 hours. So now, if you start a machine on 8:42 and you shut down it on 9:42, then and if its configuration is 4 core, then it will be 4 hours basically.
The 4 core, matlab,
Why we should use this Git Codespace?
Yeah, it's
Because I have local I will do. I will keep it in the repository, Git repository. Whoever, even I am coding parallelly, the other person can pull it and then do his modification and then push it back
Yeah,
and forth.
true.
We can do, because this is giving only few hours. Why we should, when we should do it?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
When we
Now
should
I
use
will
this
talk about when you
Codespace.
should use it.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So yeah, this basic one we have already created, and now let's move back to the previous one, and let's see this one, configure GitHub. So when you configure this bit, it creates a dot container directory, and in that it creates a dot dev container dot JSON. Now what is there in that JSON is what we are going to talk now. Okay. So Codespaces features, and you can work from anywhere, choose your own editor. This is fine. And then this is about life cycle that I think 30 minutes is inactivity. So if it is more than, if you are not doing anything on your code space for more than 30 minutes, it will shut down by itself. And then you, how do you delete it? If you haven't used any code space for more than 30 days, I think it by default deletes it. Probably that's what is there. And let's now get so how you create it, and then VM and storage and to your code space.
Into our repo.
So, yeah, this is the file that I was talking about, which is a blank template as of now we have got when we clicked on one of the button that I clicked on over there. Then you can connect via your browser, and all these things are over here. Then post creation command. So once your code space gets created, you can define. So this JSON, what we are going to do now is we are going to put some extension that you want to install once your GitHub code space have been created, or else you want to install certain things on that. Let's say UV you want to install, or a particular version of Node you want to install. So all those things you can mention in this dev containers.json. Now anytime if somebody creates a new code space, then it uses the configuration. So it picks all those configurations from this dev container.json, and then it installs all those things that you want to work with. So it's like customization. Let's say
what you mean to say, these images we put here as a JSON file?
Not only images, you put a lot of different things. I will see examples. Okay. So these are post creation, and then saving files in code spaces. By it already have auto save enabled. Okay, and then closing your this thing code space. There is manual way, or by default it shuts down in 30 minutes. And then running your application. Then how do you forward ports and all those things is also over here. And then committing and pushing your changes. You can push changes from this repo to your repo. I mean, the same one or some other repo as well from that code space. Okay. So that is also
This is the GitHub only, no? This literature you are watching code space, getting started, deep dive into code spaces.
yeah, this is on GitHub's documentation.
Okay.
I will just paste this thing over here.
Sir, is there any limitation for data memory space for that repository?
Yeah, there are limitations.
Sir, how much maximum size can be that repository size?
Okay, one particular GitHub repository, right?
Yes, sir. In general.
I don't know about a single GitHub repository, but what is, I mean, you should not push your data files to GitHub. That is one thing. You should not push your virtual environments. You should not push your node modules. And collectively, it gives you 15 GBs of storage. All your for all your GitHub repositories, not for just one repository.
So like just like Google account, GitHub account, 15 GBs total.
Yeah, 15 GBs.
Okay, okay, okay.
Just give me 1 minute, okay? I want.
Generally, it will say that 1 GB is okay. Like it will give 5 GB also, but 1 GB is preferred. Like see, you are using something like virtual environment means you are running on cloud, and cloud should run properly means your code base loading and uploading should be with a proper size of a file. So if you go more than 1 GB, then it will get slow. So if you want everything should be fast enough, good enough, then you try to make it 1 GB only. Don't go beyond 1 GB. If you go beyond 1 GB, it's okay, but it will affect on the speed of the uploading, downloading, and accessing the files and all, because that is on
That,
the
that
server.
that one is okay for code space, but if in normally when we are putting something in our GitHub repository in our
Okay.
account, in that how much we can upload?
Generally, GitHub like restrict if file size is more than 100 MB. Like if your file size it's
Uh-huh.
more than something data set with more than 100 MB, and
uh,
GitHub try to restrict that.
Okay.
Yeah, 100 MB is the size of the file in GitHub.
Per repository or the whole account?
No, file only for file.
One file.
Repository, repository code space is like 5 GB is okay, but if you want like speed wise everything will be okay, then 1 GB is standard. Like try to put 1 GB repo size will be okay.
Okay.
One file can be 100 MB. Repository have many files, so it can be
Yeah.
of much more data size.
Yes, like 1 GB
This
is the
code,
good.
this code space, what is the use? Is it like Google
Sir,
Docs,
code space
Google
is
Sheet, so that
something like,
two, three people
yeah.
can work together on the same
Yes.
sheet?
See, but we have gone through this Docker points. So it is something like a Docker only.
Correct.
So if
Docker
you
I
want
didn't
like
see
to,
yet.
yeah,
I missed
yeah.
that class. I did not.
Okay, so something, see, for
Right.
example, if you are working on something, and if you are newly joined in one team, and someone asks you, please start working on this project, then you don't need to install anything. You just get this code space in your system and start working, because the code space will have all the packages like
Yeah.
Python,
So what Ashwin have
JavaScript.
mentioned is one of the use case.
Codespace has all means somebody has to install it previously, or
No. I mean, it is. So what happens is in Codespace
Customized.
there are two files. Okay, in Codespaces there are two files. One is a Docker file. Another is a dev container.json that I have just talked about. Now it uses those two files whenever a new person joins. They get access to your GitHub repository. They can use Codespaces, and in your repository you keep two files, which is a Docker file and another is dev container.json. So now if you have these two files, it uses GitHub Codespaces uses those two files to uh, create create a container which is a container which have all the dependencies that is mentioned in your Docker file and the JSON configuration file.
how that something will be automatically unless somebody do it for you? How this
Like someone
the
will do.
JSON
If
file
someone,
what you just opened, right?
Yeah.
How it has this container has all the requirements already built into how this GitHub code space know what I need.
No, Codespace won't know anything. It's developers who are previously working on that particular project. They add all those dependencies and they configure that that JSON.
Okay, okay. There should be a GitHub repository. There should be a project folder for in your GitHub repository with your project files and this JSON whatever you just showed us now the container file.
Yeah.
Call it, where all the prerequisites are inbuilt for the project. So two things, one is the project folder, another one is prerequisites for the project. If these two files are there, whoever joins, go to the code space, take these two, the project folder and the prerequisites for the project, and start working on. That's the use case.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then another use cases, so you can create multiple different these .json files. Let's say you have different uh, teams that are working in your company. One could be testing team, another could be development team. So testing team might not need a certain set of softwares they want installed, reinstalled. So you can have multiple different dev container.json, and then when you are creating a code space, it lets you select which version for which version you want to create the container for. That is another use case as well.
I think it is being maintained the abstraction of the workspaces, so that we can work abstractly whatever we require, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, Jivraj, this is even possible if I pull those folder and the requirement.
I mean, yeah,
I
you
can
can even
work
pull
locally.
that folder and you have
I
Docker
can do
file,
locally.
and you
Yeah,
can do it
Codespace
locally
is
as
not
well.
Codespace offers this functionality. However, I pull this anyway. It's in the repository.
Yeah,
I joined the team.
yeah,
I
so what
pull
happened?
all these two and then start working in my local machine.
Yeah, so that Docker file you can even use on your local machine and do everything on your local machine.
Unless the company restricts, they want to work, some monitoring needs to be done, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
They will
so
add your
GitHub
email
Codespace,
address
they are
there.
offering it by themselves. That's the only thing. Yeah, Ashwin, you wanted to add something?
No, no, you mentioned correct. But just when you join us, they will add your email address into the list who can access this Docker. So your email address is anyway there. Your team know that you are working on that, and then you can use this command like Docker, importing the Docker in your local machine, and then yeah, you start working on that because your email address is already in the list. So
Yeah, so probably what Ashwin is trying to say is you need to create your Docker account, and then you have somebody have to add you in the list of who all can access the repository, something like that, right?
that is like official level, like not personal level. Office have your email address like @xyz.com. So that XYZ company has to add that your email address into their local file. Give you access to download the Docker.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. So now let's do some configurations into this particular code space. Yeah, and for organizations, this is how you can enable, and all these things are there. And then cost management is also there. So readings are there. Customizing, and then change your shell, change your machine type. Managing your make template. This is with respect to Where was the configurations for? Okay, so on dev containers, you can have this. This is the one. So this is the primary file that uses Docker file. Predefined dev container, and this is what how you do it in VS Code. And yeah, so when you have multiple different yeah, this is what I was talking about, having a custom dev container. So now if you have different teams, then so this is testing, this is for some other team, something like that is there, then you can select the alternate configuration instead of using this default one, which is dot dev containers, dev container or JSON. You can use some other configuration as well. This is, I've opened so many things. Editing dev container.json file. See this is on the dev containers website. And what is that? Metadata dev container JSON, dev container JSON and folder image metadata ID, and then privileged. They don't have any examples for.
Jibraj, one more request. Can we shift this schedule to 5:30 to 7:30? Sorry.
On?
No, today there is a clash between this session and the other session, Gen AI. Because that session is, we started around 8, right? Can we start from 7 to 9? Because that session starts from 9 to 11. It's clashing 1 hour.
It's different set of people who takes this session. So
yes, and also because my
Because most
MSP
of the
session is,
members I am seeing here, they're also registered for Gen AI.
yes, but many are always, because one of the my session is from 6 to 8. So for that reason, the time schedule is, I think, better. We don't have to change this.
I mean, yeah, so it's yeah, somebody else have also raised it, Ashish Chandra something. So I don't know how to come up with the optimal schedule that works for everyone.
I will check with them whether they can reschedule. But
Sir, this thing
only
always
today,
happens.
this is happening only today, I think.
Actually, one of us will get, few of us will get their schedule of their own wish, but few of them will always have a problem because there are vast number of courses in diploma and vast number of configuration will not possible in small period of time.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I did one of these in one of which is, if I go here, and then this live session one, I was testing for the graded assignment question, and over here also I have created one dot containers and then dot JSON over here. and then it have these things, which is it uses these extensions. This is for UV and this is for Python. So it installs these extensions, and then it also installs fast API. So the container that gets created now, if you use this repository and then you create a container, it have these things pre-installed. And it lets me use which container configuration I want to use. So these containers, they have some names. Yes, yeah, so this is the name that identifies it. So now when you are creating a code space, it lets you use which code space you want to use. Okay, and then when I go to this bit, which is about,
You mean to say different code spaces have different type of containers, right?
yeah, so different, no,
So how to work
your
on this?
repository, it can have different containers. Okay, so it can have different these JSONs. Like if I add one more file over here, and then test.json, something like this. I need to change this bit to GA, let's say 3. If I commit this, okay, it's not showing over here. Either it has to be under the same, okay, or else it has to be under a different name. Okay, let me try something else.
Create container JSON.
Does it show up now? Yeah, now it's able to show. So now it lets you select which configuration you want to use if you have different configurations. And now I can change this extension to something else, and then these post create command is like once your container is created, you want to install something like that, you can do over here. And also there is one way you use a Docker file as well. So yeah, so I think over here you give path to that Docker file, and it's inside the .dev container folder itself. And then this Docker file, it's installing some Python image, and then it's also install additional OS packages if needed. And this is optional, you can remove it as well.
Python image, you mean to say when we will put this in that Docker code space, then Python will work in that folder, right?
Yeah, so if you use this Docker file, then it this Docker file is installing 3.10. You can change it to some slim version as well instead of some.
The
You
change
need to,
means only name you can change, or you have to install.
no. So over here, this first line tells what you want to use. So this from command, so it is telling that it needs this version of Python from Microsoft.com.
Okay,
VS
it will
Code.
directly use from the Microsoft side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you mean to say.
So this line you can change. Instead of 3.10, you can put 3.11, some other version of Python.
Okay, and it will work. No need to install anything.
Yeah. It's not something that you need to install because you are putting everything in.
It means it is a path of image path, right? Of that.
Yeah, it's a image path.
Right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, fine.
Okay, and now you can configure it in more robust sense. Okay, you can use a lot of different things like git, curl, all those things you can install. And then when you put a build as so there will be one key build, and that have a Docker file, and then probably this is passed to your Docker file.
Build? What is build is a version only, no?
No. Build is
what?
It's Yeah, it's a object, and that object have, I mean, that is, it will have build commands. I mean, what you need to build that image. Okay.
Where will we use it?
So if you look at this project folder, so this is in your GitHub repository, .dev containers must be there. Then some Docker file would be there. Now you use that Docker file in this dev container.json that lets this dev container.json know that this is the Docker file that you want to use. Now this Docker file can have multiple different things like curl or git. All those things you can install in the Docker file, and that Docker file is being used in your dev container.json. Okay, so whatever you are installing, whatever you have put in your Docker file, that gets used in your dev container.json. In other words, you can say all those things. So your uh, container image is created using these dependencies that is mentioned in Docker file. Okay, and then you can put these settings as well for terminal, and then for Python interpreter, and then what extensions you want to install, Python or pylons, and then forward ports, what ports you want to open. And then this is once the container is created, you want to, if you let's say in your GitHub repository there is some requirement.txt is there, you want to install all those requirements, then you can install it using requirements.txt, or else you can even keep it as part of your Docker file. Hello.
Hello, sir. Could you please recap that?
Yeah, so your folder structure has to be like this. So your GitHub repository, it must have dev container as one folder, and then in that folder there should be one file, dev container.json, and one Docker file as well. Now in that Docker file you put all the dependencies or whatever you want to install in the container that you create, and not just installation. Installation can be some other way as well. Okay, so, and then all the extensions that you want to use, and then settings that you want for that particular uh, container that gets created. So everything you mention it over here.
How do we exemplify one thing to how this is working exactly in our code space? To do some work exactly, 1-2 line code like this. What changes we are making in our code space and how it is affecting our work in our workspace.
Okay, it's nothing but you are using GitHub for development environment. Okay.
Suppose you write a function in a
Okay.
Python file in our code space and work it, how it is working here, and then suppose you want to do some another work in that code space, how it is connecting with that Dockers. Just exemplify us so that we can understand how it is working exactly. Simple 2-3 line of code so that we can.
Okay, have you understood what is usage of Codespaces?
Yeah, I got that to some extent, but
Okay. And
We
how
have
do you configure, and what is purpose of this dev container.json? Did you get that?
it is like a pod, no? It will work like a pod. It is independent of the our machine and all that thing. It will be there, and we can work there. It can be shared to multiple persons also.
Yeah, multiple people can use the same.
Work on the same code. The log will be maintained. Log will be maintained who has changes. That and the admin, maybe admin be accepting or like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It is such kind of thing. What I understand, but how it is working. First, I think we have to do two or three people. It is better to two or three people do simultaneously so that we can get the demo of that. I think so. It will be more confident.
I mean, I can do that, but I mean,
Sir, can you give me?
it's just a Docker file that I need to create over here and then make some changes to this JSON file, and later it creates the container with all those things pre-installed. And that's what happens.
Sir, may I ask one question?
Yeah, Roshan.
Like, if suppose a new programmer has joined a team and
Your voice is very low. I cannot clearly hear what you are trying to say.
now can you hear me, sir?
Yes, now you are audible.
Yeah, like if suppose a new programmer has joined a development team.
Okay.
And he is added to this GitHub account.
Yeah.
So, like when he starts this development project, when he starts this project, and he has this what you say thing which we are talking about, dev container.
Mm-hmm.
So all this installations will be done in his local machine, or it won't be done. He will be able to use the uh, all the installed programs like pip containers or anything that we need will be pre-installed or will be installed in his local machine.
It's not the local machine. Actually, it is a cloud, right? And when you create a new code space, it installs all the dependencies from that dev container.json file.
Okay, so it's basically a cloud. It won't be installed in his local machine.
Yeah, that's purpose of. So that's why we call them a cloud
Cloud computing.
development environment, because it's not happening on your local machine.
So the main difference between GitHub file that we were using and we have added this new feature dev container to use the cloud features of GitHub. I just wanted to understand a layman term what dev container is doing basically. Someone asked me what is a dev container. What should I reply to?
Dev container is a dev is for development, and container is just container. Container, you already know about what is Docker container. It's a
What is it?
isolated machine. So, and development is, this is used for development, and then this is hosted by GitHub. That's where cloud comes in. So it's cloud hosted development container. So over there, it's used for development task.
Till now, what I knew is that GitHub is basically for a multi-pronged programming. For a project, if we join too many programmers at once on the same project, we need GitHub account for that.
Okay.
So GitHub also has its own space. So why do we need additional dev container for that?
GitHub have their own space.
Yeah, like if the pull and push request that we are doing, if someone does any changes to his project, that is being reflected to other projects also who have kept their account as public in GitHub. So the changes will be reflected. So why do we need additional dev container for that? So dev container is basically, I
It
think,
is a service that is provided by GitHub, and mostly it's used by organizations, as Ashwin already mentioned about. I mean, it's not something that you necessarily will be using, but it's something that you can use. It's something that GitHub provides you.
Okay, fine, sir.
What's the question?
Yeah, I mean, Roshan was asking about why we need to use GitHub Codespaces when we can do things locally.
No, no. Maybe what happened now? See, you just don't need to do only git push, git clone, and all. You have to work also. So, for example, if you are developing a big application like Facebook app for your mobile, you are a Facebook developer, for example. Okay, so there will not be a one or two file you will write. You will write thousands of files, and the file size will be huge. Then you don't need to put inside your own laptop that you have to push all the thousands of, like, I'm not saying thousand, but maybe 10 or 12 files on the repository. So that's why you have to use that code space. So that code space has a limited amount of space, but it is enough for your project. So you have to push all the 12 files. GitHub will have just help you to push and pull, but you have to store somewhere. So GitHub is not enough, having not enough space to save the complete project. So that's why we have code space there. So that 12, your 12 files, some other person is developing new module on the Facebook, maybe Instagram he is adding into the Facebook, or WhatsApp he is adding new feature. So he will write another 20 files. Then that 20 files also go with your 12 files. 12, your 12 is 20. Maybe the reference has already 50 files. So 50, 10, 50, 30, and 12, like 92 files will go on the repository. So GitHub may not have that much of space. So that's why we have a separate code space there.
Anybody will be able to track the changes being made in the code by anyone.
Yes. So there is like a Scrum Master who will control that. If somebody is pushing that, so he will get a notification like a PR request, a pull request, and then he will review your changes first. He will say that, yeah, these changes are not good, or he will maybe point out to some file like this file has this change which is not good, or he's not following the coding standard or something. This kind of a review he will send you. You will get the review, and then you will modify it, and then you will once again push that file only, and once again he will review it, like you have taken care of all the review comment, and then he will
Okay.
move
Scrum
your change
Master
to
is
that
basically
repository.
a project leader or something like that.
Sorry, your voice is breaking, man.
I'm saying that Scrum Master is basically a team leader or something like that, like who
Yes,
handles the project.
yes, he's a head under
He
whom
has a
you guys
deadline,
are
right?
working.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Thank you, Ashwin.
no problem.
Okay, so now I'm moving from Codespaces to another topic, which is for that's used for deployment, which is Hugging Face spaces. And how do you create a Hugging Face spaces? You go to Hugging Face. Let me just sign out, and I will sign in again. So you need to provide two things. One is username, and then another is password.
What is this, sir? Hugging Face?
Yeah, so Hugging Face is a website where people deploy their models, or they also put their data sets, all those things. So, and you can even see some news over there. So it's a space where people used to put models, like this is from Google, and then you can either train or deploy, and then you get multiple different options. You can deploy it on Azure or Amazon. All these things are there, and then you can use this model, which is it's a, I mean, if something is open source, they a lot of things which are open source models will be available on Hugging Face spaces. And then this is the name of the organization or person who have created that particular model and anything.
Should we use our student ID or the personal ID?
Any account is fine.
No problem.
Yeah, no problems. And
And
then you
site is
can,
free.
yeah, this site is free.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and it's somewhat similar to your uh, GitHub. Okay, it also has some concept of cloning repositories. Okay, so this is how you can clone this repository, and for this there is this LFS is what is required. Make sure Git LFS is installed. Now you can read about what Git LFS is while cloning something from Hugging Face. So this that is for large files. Okay, when you have large files, why we need large files is in couple of GB in size, because while you are pushing something or pulling from Hugging Face, you might be pushing some large files, which is some data files you might be pushing. So this one have 303 million parameters, and I mean it's not in GBs. They haven't talked about how much is GB it is.
So someone asked earlier that how what is the maximum size of file in the Git, that is like 100 MB, and if you want more than 100 MB size file, then you can use this LFS, Git LFS, large file storage. So that is more than 100 MB. Yeah.
And then similar to, you can see files on GitHub, you can even see which all files are present over here, and then over here you get to know about what all are the size. So you can see about this particular model dot safe tensors. It have a size of 1.12 GB. Now you are aware about I mean, those who have taken maths 2 or MLF, they know, or if you have taken MLT, so in that there are some algorithms, and in those algorithms what happens at the end is it's some metrics calculations, right? So all these models which get created and deployed on Hugging Faces, which are present over here, they have some files, tensor files, and these tensor files are very big in size because they they are basically storing whole metrics that gets multiplied with something while you are running these models. And they these days people uh, count the size of the model rather than size, in the sense in terms of parameters, how many parameters are being used. So in this particular model it's 300 million parameters, so 1 million is probably 10 lakhs. And parameters, you can say your Python function, if you compare it with your Python function, it have 300 million parameters. Now in your Python function that does simple addition, it gets just 2 parameters, whereas this one gets a lots and lots of parameters. That's why these file sizes are also very big one. So this is these are the things that you can put on Hugging Face. This is some other model. This is DeepSeek, you guys have used, right? And then this is v3.2, a specific version of DeepSeek is there. And it's 685 billion parameters are there. And if you talk about the files, it have got these different files are there, and they all have some parameters. Okay, dot safe tensor, and these are very big files. In GBs they are. So now running these models locally is not possible, but they give you option to deploy it on HF interface endpoint or Azure. All these things are there, and then you can use this model in Colab. You won't be able to use it via on your free version, because these it uses these big files to generate response. I mean, DeepSeek you guys have used, right? It's similar
Yes,
to
sir.
ChatGPT, but it's
Yes,
the
sir.
open source one.
Uh,
It gives
I have tried it on my local machine also.
yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, so now there is something called Spaces as well, which lets you deploy something to Hugging Face Spaces. In last session, we talked about how do you deploy on to word cell. Now we are going to see how you can deploy it on Hugging Face spaces. Now let me go to spaces and create a new space, and we we need to give a name, and this can be any name. I'm just putting anything, or Hugging Face demo. It doesn't have to be a specific name, it can be anything. Okay, and then over here you can select the license. I'm not going to select anything now. And then there are multiple different options that are available. Now if you have a Docker file, then you go with Docker. Gradio is another interface which we won't be talking right now. And then I'm just selecting blank as of now. There are different things that you can use. And then yeah, now let's go with the CPU basic one and make this public. Now this is same as a GitHub repository kind of. I can clone this one as well. Git clone and then Hugging Face spaces, and similar to what we did on GitHub, I can add a SSH key over here. Okay, and how do you generate the SSH key is similar to GitHub SSH key gen kind of thing. Okay, but instead of going for that, I will now go with HTTPS because I don't use Hugging Face too often. And if you want to use Hugging Face CLI, this is how you can use Hugging Face CLI to install it. Okay. Then what all files are there that is present in your repository? You can view them over here. There is just one commit and pull request, and then create new file, and then this is about uploading files. All those things also you can do over here. Now let's clone this, and we'll create something. This one, I think I will be able to clone it because it's public one. While pushing, I might have to do something, which is add a token. It's similar to git push. Okay, when you do git push, you need a token, and it's similar to that one. So this is
Here also we have to use the command git push.
yeah. So when you are pushing your code to Hugging Face spaces, you again use git push. Even when you cloned it, right? You used git clone.
Okay, the same
So
command.
yeah, same command. Pushing and pulling and all these things happens in the same way.
It means this Hugging Face is also using the git, right?
Yeah, Git is being used by a lot of different providers. GitHub
Yeah.
is one provider, GitLab is another provider, and then Hugging Face is yet another provider.
Okay.
And Git is for version controlling. Git is to track your commits and all those things. Okay. I mean, I have cloned it at a wrong location. I will just remove this one.
Hugging demo.
I have just removed it. Okay, I haven't done anything. I will clone it at a different location. Oh, okay, it was already git cloned. Yeah, now it is being cloned, and let me use code editor for that. And in Hugging Face spaces, while creating, I selected Docker, right, as option, and I did not select any. I mean, when I was, we'll just show it once more. When I was creating this space, I selected Docker as this selection, and I did not select anything over here. I just kept it blank. So now I need to include a Docker file over here, and there must be some content in that Docker file. Let's copy this thing, which is requirement.txt that requirement requ. I mean, it can be anything. Then this is basic fast API code. Okay. And now this is a Docker file. Yeah, when you create this space, okay, it shows you these simple application that is ready to deploy, and then you need to add these things. Okay, all this this particular Docker file does is it pulls one Python image and then it adds a user, and then it copies requirement.txt and the other files into this that directory. Okay, it creates a new directory and then it copies any file that is present over here. It copies to that directory. So this work directory, it creates, I mean, all it does is it puts all these files into that container. Now let's yeah.
You go to the code Docker file.
Okay, yeah.
Here this is copy command is going from current directory to /f directory, working directory, work directory. Is it
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, it's copying. So it is setting up a working directory inside your container, and then it's copying everything from
Okay.
this particular directory to that directory
Okay.
inside your container. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I will track these things using Git. Now when I do Git status, I see all these things are not being tracked, and I will now start tracking them. And yeah, it's one thing you need to take care of is the file name, which is app, and then the instance name, which is also app. So app and app, yeah, that's consistent. So now I can add everything, and now I will put a commit message. Oh, okay, simple fast API application, and now I can push it to Hugging Face. And now I need the username, which is Jivraj-18, and I need password as well. Now instead of password, I will be using tokens. And let me create a new token, and I will give all the access. Or probably I just need these access. Discussion and post, I don't need billing, I don't need jobs, I don't need collections, I don't need, and in friends also I don't need. So I think this much is fine. This is test one, something like that. And organization, repository permission, read and control access to these websites. Okay, now this token has been exposed in this session. So once I complete this session, I will just delete it. Okay. And this is VS Code.
Only one token will be required for the one login, or every folder will have the token.
Now, whenever you are pushing, you either need token or you need SSH.
Okay.
So
only one SSH key will be sufficient for one login, no?
Yeah, if you are using Hugging Face, then for Hugging Face you need another SSH key, and if you are using GitHub, you need another SSH.
Yeah, for every Hugging Face, every website one SSH.
Yes, or else you can use the same key as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's preferred you use different keys. So that's why I have named it like this, GitHub Jivraj-18, to identify that this key is for that purpose.
Yeah,
now if I have something for Hugging Face, I will name it that way.
Got it.
Okay, now yeah, that have been pushed to Hugging Face, and now whatever was the content of that Docker file was, it have used that as now you guys should be able to access this URL. that I can test in incognito mode. Okay. And not here.
You share the link so that we can also check.
Yeah, sure. I will send it in a few minutes. And right now it's appearing like this. Let me. What is deployed link URL for this space? The ruling you can interact with the deployed application for the by. Oh no, that's the same one. Yeah, you can test it out.
Are you sharing?
Yes, I have shared it.
Yeah, it is working. Hello world, huh?
Yeah. Then that is basic application that we have used. Just hello.
We do not need any key. Directly we public. Okay.
Yeah, it's public repository.
Mhm.
Or if it's private one, then I have to add you as collaborator. And so these are the configurations. So for this space, we have 2 CPU and 16 GB of RAM. And what happens on Hugging Face is after 48 hours, it shuts down. Okay. Yeah, that is it for Hugging Face. For GitHub Actions, is there any doubt before I move forward?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Huh? Sorry.
Uh,
Yeah.
s- just share the chat GPT, sir, history, sir, for Codex space.
Which one?
Yes, sir, yes. For
Which
code
one you
space.
want?
Code space.
Code space. I think I have already
Yeah.
shared that one.
No, sir, no, sir. I checked, sir.
You shared it.
Okay, let me.
Where?
Yeah, I will share it again.
Okay, okay.
Or maybe I did not share. I don't know. Probably I shared it.
You share a documentary, sir, for GitHub.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, now, yeah, let's go ahead with this example. I will later show you what are the other use cases of GitHub Actions. So, or else, yeah, let's first create one example onto GitHub and then generate 18 repositories. And we'll just run it once. How we can run it is what we'll see. So for this one, you need a dot GitHub and then flows. This should be same one. So this okay, it's already there. So this folder must be there, and then name of the file could be anything, but this folder must be dot GitHub and then workflows. This should be there if you want to use GitHub Actions. Now GitHub Actions they have a lot of use cases, but let's first create one GitHub action, and then later I will tell you what are the other use cases. Okay. So this is test, and it will have a extension of .yml or YAML. Okay. And how to configure and what are the different parts of this YAML file, we'll talk about it in a minute. Okay. So we are now all set, and I think I can now run it manually. Now if I go to this actions tab, so this is code tab, this is issues tab, this is for monitoring all your pull requests, this is for all the actions. Now we have this one action over here, and which I think, did it run? No, that's a different one. Yeah, that's
What
a,
are what we are discussing here in GitHub?
yeah, we are talking about how to you create GitHub actions. I'll talk about what GitHub Actions are. I'm now
Okay.
just focusing on how you put a GitHub action on your GitHub repository, which
Okay.
is you need to create this .github folder and then workflows directory inside .github, and then you need to also have an extension of .yml. Now, this configuration, I will talk about it later. Okay, first I will run what happens when you run it. So yeah, it shows all the so this is for pages. GitHub pages also creates these things, and then this is for the latest one that I have added. And how do I know about this is the latest one? If you go to that GitHub action, which is test.yml, it have this name log iss location daily thing, right? The same name will display over here. It will get displayed over here, and then when you click on new workflow, then if you click on configure, it creates a new file over here, and then you can name it anything, and then this is some template you get. Anyway, we have already done that. So let's go over here, and right now you can see there is 0 runs. That means this script have never been executed any time. And now if I now what happens is this cron means it runs on a specific time. So this one runs on it daily runs at 12 a.m. in sorry, in noon we call it PM probably. Yeah, so it runs on 12 p.m. and then workflow dispatch. That means manual triggering is also allowed. Now if I go over here and then run workflow, if manual triggering is not allowed, then I won't be able to run it manually. So now I am running it. Workflow was successfully requested. Why it's not being displayed here? No, yeah. Now while it's running, it will show something like this. I can go over here and then I can see what have happened, and then this job was completed. So it installed UV and all those things it did. And now let's see if there is some changes that is being made to our repository. Now you can see this JSON L file, right? This has been created just now, but I did not create it. So how did it got created? It was created by that GitHub action itself. Now what is there in this file? Let's have a look. So it gets the latitude and longitude and at this particular timestamp. Now what are these things? Now let's look at this YAML file. So this, what it does is it sends a request to a API, and that API, when I open it in browser, it gets the latitude and longitude of ISS, Indian Space Station, International Space Station. It gets the coordinates, and then it writes it out to this particular file. So what happens is it runs daily at this specific time, and then it keeps on adding the information to this file. Okay, that's all it does, and then it pushes to the same GitHub repository, or you can also put some other repository name. Now let me talk about different use cases of GitHub Actions. Okay, let's say you have built a application, and so yes, who is this? Ashwin, right? Ashwin was talking about the use case of Facebook. Now they have very big code base, and they cannot let you make any changes to your code base until that request is that thing is already validated. So in process of validation, you can have some test cases. Test cases is like Or let's say you have an endpoint, and then that endpoint should return hello world. This is just a basic example. You can have some post endpoint, then you send a request, then this should happen. Now if you make any changes, if you add a new functionality, your previous functionalities should not break. That's where you keep some test cases to test whatever is already existing. So this is what you can do using GitHub Actions. Whenever somebody pushes to your GitHub repo, right now this is happening on schedule, right? Instead of that, these can trigger on push event as well. I can edit it, and I can put something like on, okay, wait, push, and then I can also put the name of the branch, probably main. This might, this is how you configure these things. Okay, this is one use case of GitHub Actions. Then another is continuous deployment. Let's say you are deploying it on Hugging Face or Vercel. Okay, now instead of uh, you just push it to, you just push your code to GitHub, and once you put it on GitHub, you use GitHub Actions to deploy it on Hugging Face. You don't do git push and then you also push it to Hugging Face, you also push it to GitHub. That you don't do. Instead of that, you directly deploy it using GitHub Actions. This is another one. Then this is about cron task. Then this is about site documentation, which we talked about GitHub pages, right? That's what it is. So this is for mostly automations, and this can also handle your pull request, and it can assign somebody. Let's say your pull request have a comment add feature and then name of the feature. Now let's say this add feature, uh, yeah, so this add feature is adding a feature. Now you want to assign a
Why it
developer
is not?
based on comment, so that also can be done via GitHub Actions. Yes, Shrikant. Hello. Or was someone trying to say something?
No, no, I'm not doing.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so these are the use cases of GitHub Actions, and then this is the configuration, where you put all the steps. Okay, so this is the first step where you check out your repository. Checkout means you pull the latest version of your GitHub repository, whatever is the latest push on that GitHub repository. You check it out over there, and then you install few things. Right now we are using UV to use request module. That's why we are installing UV, and then we just send some request, and then we write it out to the same GitHub. Okay.
And how it is different? This action, GitHub Action and GitHub Codespaces.
Yeah,
How?
Codespaces is development environment, right? And GitHub Actions is you don't do anything. You already have a script that does something when you push or at a specific time.
Okay, okay. So for the actions, it will activate at the particular time.
Yeah, it will. No, not at a. I mean, either it's on a specific time or at a specific event, and that event could be because
Uh,
of some pull request or some.
that will be triggered when whatever is configured in that, right?
Yeah, that will trigger based on what is configured in that.
Hmm.
It could
Or
be
some
whenever
also.
somebody sends a pull request, you might keep some automated way of
Hmm.
testing that pull request.
Okay.
It does some test on that, some basic test. This should be there in your new commit. If it's
Okay.
not there, straightforward, don't let that commit happen. And then if those commits are passed, then somebody manually validates other things, something like that. Some basic checks and test cases. Yeah. So now, Ashwin, if you want to add something on top of it, you can add.
Yeah, that's correct what you mentioned. Generally, for example, if you push something, so when you push something like maybe Shrikant has developed something and someone like a Jivraj want to update Shrikant's code, and Jivraj has sent the fix like, okay, this is some fix I am pushing to this branch. But before that, the code has to run few test cases. Like the test cases, you are not doing anything. The repository or the GitHub has to run some test cases. That is using by using this CI/CD model. So it will run some 10 or 20 test cases, which you decide what test cases should be there. And it will say that, okay, basic things are okay. It is following the like previous Shrikant code is also running. And on top of that, Jira's changes are also running. Okay, then it's okay. Like the developer has to push the changes and somebody has to review later. And if for example, Yuvraj finds some mismatch, like there is code is crashing, then Yuvraj should not push the changes. Then he has to rework on his commit what he has done, and then he has to fix once again. Something like this CI/CD. Like as you also mentioned, Yuvraj, that it's also you can make sure that it should run at the evening 9 o'clock, or it should also be configured like if somebody is pushing, then it should firstly check the test cases and give the result that okay it's passing or failing. So that it depends upon the configuration, like what you are configuring there.
Okay, so whatever I planned, I have already completed that portion. If there is something that you wanted to ask, now you can ask.
Sir,
Yes, Mayank.
one thing, just can you brief whatever today's session you have told to us? In short, you can.
Which code?
Means I want to say, in this session we talk about Hugging Face and uh, yeah, action mode. So can you just brief or give a short summary of whatever we have studied today? The container path, what we have studied. Just small summary of that and the use cases.
Okay, so first we talked about GitHub Codespaces. That is nothing but development environment where you use a Docker file and dev containers, dev container.json file, and those things determines what needs to be installed in your container that you create. So that gets whenever you create a new container, it comes up with these things. And then for deployment, we saw one option of you deploy it on Vercel. Now today we looked at an option that uses Hugging Face. In that you need a Docker file, and then whatever is your Python code that comes in any file, you can name it. So once you create a space, it shows you the initial version of your Hugging Face space. Okay, and then another one was GitHub Actions, which
Yuvraj, one question.
yes,
In the our first project one,
yeah,
what
yeah.
we are going to use like these Hugging Faces also, GitHub repository, and that is common. But the CI/CD pipeline also we need to use in our first
CI/CD
project.
pipelines. I mean, if you are collaborating with others, and I mean, it's like if you mostly if you want to collaborate, even in that case, you can manually test or it's not. I mean, TDS projects are not that comprehensive to really use these things, but you can try these out. CI/CD
Okay,
pipelines.
but that Vercel and all that we don't need to use, correct? Vercel.
Yeah, Vercel deployment won't work for project one.
Yeah. Okay.
And for project one, we'll soon be having sessions. So tomorrow we'll be having internal meet with Professor Anand. So over there, we'll also, I mean, it will be regarding project one.
Okay.
So probably by next week, we'll start on project one. Because now you have got enough context on uh,
Mhm.
development and deployment. Some LLM things also will cover in probably in this week or next week.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So if no
Yeah.
more doubts, I'm just stopping the presentation and recording.